What up, and welcome to the first episode of the Unknown Experts. Let's go. My name is Roger, and I'm here with my boy
Mike,
aka L Dog. You can call me Mooka, Super Duper, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, you can just call me Mike. You know me well enough.
All right. So, first and foremost, this is going to be the best MMA podcast on Long Island. One of the only ones. You know, we're going to break down fights. We're going to explain.
Not much competition.
I mean, honestly, there really isn't. But we're going to basically be your catalyst for everything you want to know. Who's fighting, how they're fighting, who's good, who's not good, anything you want, fight breakdowns, you know, reactions, this and that. Everything MMA is going to be all us.
And we guarantee at some point or another we're going to get call-ins from local MMA fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Some in small stature, we might surprise you with a champion.
Mm-hmm. All right, so first and foremost, how did we get into MMA? All right, I'll take the race first.
Yeah.
I got into MMA, basically a mixture of you and Mike Mackin. I don't know if you remember him back in high school.
Of course I do.
Yeah, he was on track and he used to talk to me about MMA all the time, this and that. I got into it, started watching it. First fight I ever saw, Tito versus Lyoto. Worst fight I've ever seen in my life. And I said, this is what everyone's talking about? This sucks. But I stuck with it, and I actually fell in love with it, you know, the technique. It was more action-based than any other sport there was at the time. Like, if you think about boxing, this was about 2007, 2008. Boxing was on the decline. Pro wrestling, which I used to love, was on the decline. Football, I'm a Jets fan, so it sucks all year round. Don't like basketball, so it was perfect timing for me. What about you?
That's decent timing. I mean, Tito versus Lyoto, what year is that?
I want to say late 07,
We
early.
should confirm that we, much like a lot of other podcasters, we're lovers and experts, but we're more lovers.
Exactly.
So the years may be off a little bit.
I take solace in the fact that I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast once, and he said that he said a fight, and I heard him say it, and I was like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then he later on said, you know, I called so many fights that I don't even remember. He said it all just meshes together. So I was like, all right.
And I take solace in the fact that I can always correct his ass, but I'm screaming at him when it's pre-recorded, and he's on the other side of the goddamn country anyway. So now,
How'd you get into it?
I got into it, let's see, just like you, I was a pro wrestling fan circa 2001, and I remember seeing Ken Shamrock wrestle for the first time, and that sparked my interest of like, well, he's from something that's real to it. I mean, we all knew that it was scripted. We were in it because, you know, it's the male soap opera.
Exactly.
This is pro wrestling. So what's better than that is a real fucking thing, real striking, real grappling, and then once you fall in love with it, there's no falling out of love with it.
That's literally what I said. You know, my trainer used to always say that too. I remember I told him, I said, you know, my mom says it's too violent. He said, listen, let me tell you something. Every little boy that eventually grows up to a man loves violence. Whether you grew up watching the Power Rangers or superheroes or boxing or wrestling, everyone loves violence.
It's in our DNA.
It literally is in our DNA. If you're walking across the street and you see two people playing football, or you see two people fighting, which one are you gonna watch?
You're gonna watch the fight.
Exactly.
Every time.
Every single time. We're drawn to it.
It could be fucking Brady and Eli Manning having a toss back and forth, and same guys 5 minutes later in a fist fight. Which one's gonna draw a bigger crowd?
Exactly. You know, it's literally what we're built. It's in our DNA, like you said. It's what we're more or less born to do.
And now, basically, in our neutered society nowadays, I mean, I don't know if you would agree with that, but we don't get a lot of opportunities to express that, you know, the lack of a better term, machismo, tough guy bullshit, fucking, you know, and full on chauvinist stuff sometimes. I mean, come on, it's just part of being a guy.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I want to say I understand it a little bit, because there's always that one guy that takes it too far. There's always that, even when it comes to MMA, there's always that one meathead that you're always like, come on,
yeah,
you make MMA look bad.
Well, even then, though, I mean, look, I mean, who did we both think was the biggest meathead around? Brendan Schaub.
Yeah.
And look what turns out there. We learned a little something about the guy from his own podcast. Turns out he's an insightful motherfucker.
All right, so let's see. We can get down with the rumors now. I already know a big one off the bat. Yeah, one of your favorite fighters of all time, Anderson Silva, popping again. How do you feel about that one?
How long ago? Today or?
Well, he popped, but you know USADA. They kept it under wraps until like the B sample and all of that BS clears. But it just came out.
The China card.
Yeah, it was a China card.
Yeah, the whole Shanghai incident.
But it came out with he took like an estrogen blocker. He took legit roids, like
he took
a diuretic,
chloromethine, and all that John Jones stuff.
Yeah, literally, literally. I don't know, man. I love what Shab tweeted out. He was like, "Is this guy the worst at cheating ever?"
I mean,
I don't know, man. It
is what it is.
You know, it's funny that Chael says a lot of crazy stuff when he flies off the handle, and he said every single Pride fighter was juiced, all of them. And I sat there and I guess I'm like, there goes Chael talking. But the more it goes on, the guys that stick around, they're popping left and right.
Would you ever listen to Ensign Inoue? I mean, saying that in big letters it said on the contract, we do not test for steroids.
Which is crazy, I mean, it's evident nowadays, but it's so weird, though, because I want to know how they got it down to a science. I know, granted, it was the Wild Wild West in the early 2000s with the UFC, but they did some testing.
Well, what do you mean down to a science? Which aspect?
Like, I'm talking about these guys. Like, you got people like, supposedly Anderson's been doing it his whole career. How is it just popping up as soon as USADA comes by?
Well, there's the possibility that he's getting on in years, and now he's just doing the compensate after getting knocked the fuck out. Which
I personally, I'm a Silva fan, big fan, but I try to lean on that aspect maybe after his leg shattered, and he's like, you know what?
See, I've never liked him, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that after Weidman cleared him like that.
Literally twice.
Well, the leg, that's one thing, the leg. But the chinning him while the taunt, that's going to fuck with your head.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you saw him after the Diaz fight.
Yeah, I've never seen him that tentative before.
How he fell to the ground sobbing, and they covered him with water bottles and stuff.
I mean, and you know what's funny? I was talking to another guy that I'm cool with who's a big MMA fan, and I distinctly remember after that fight, I said, I don't want him to fight again. And they're like, nah, he's going to be good. Watch, he just needs to get that out of the way.
The Diaz fight?
After the Diaz fight. I said, I don't want him to ever fight again. And he was like, no, that was him just shaking the cobs off. I'm like, I'm telling you. A, he got knocked out. B, he came back, broke his leg to that same guy. So lightning strikes twice. You want to say it's one of the luckiest wins ever. Then he got 2 lucky wins, whatever. Then you come back and you fight the Diaz brother who was piecing him up, let's be honest, who is high as a kite. Still piecing him up, laying down, putting his back to the fence, and you were still getting tagged left and right.
After that, and also though, but Silva's got that thing going on his side. He's got that Brazilian brother thing going on, where he just doesn't bruise up. Look at the Sonnen fight.
Yeah,
and, just all around. Whenever he's been hit, Weidman both times around got tagged a lot. Never got bruised up.
I didn't think anything of it in the Silva fight. I mean, in the Sonnen fight, Sonnen has pillow punches.
Yeah, he's a pillow puncher.
So I didn't think anything of it. And when he got caught on the chin. No, if he got caught on the eye or something, when he got caught by Weidman, then I'd be like, you know what, he might have swole up. But when you think about it, I've never seen him get hit in a spot where it should swell up, besides on the chin.
With the Diaz fight's a perfect example. Diaz with that pitter-patter type of strike.
The Stockton slap, they call it.
And all these elbows he's throwing in there. At the end of the fight, Silva barely looks like he was in a fucking scrap, and Diaz's eyes swollen shut. And Diaz landed a lot.
Well, that's the thing that I also tell people. The Diaz brothers, they got paper skin, man.
Well, yeah, the scar tissue and whatnot. But Nick's scar tissue's on the forehead mostly, and he had it surgically repaired. It's still not great.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about right here, like the lower eye, like the cheekbone swelled up to close the eye. It wasn't like a broken ocular.
I don't know, man. I think that this, like Bisping said, as much as I hate him, this is going to tarnish his legacy more than anything else, man. The first one, we'll sweep under the rug. We might even, we'll sweep it under the rug. We did that with Cyborg. We did that with Overeem. We'll sweep the first one under the rug. But you can't back to back, man.
Yeah, it wasn't back to back. We're talking Silva still, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, the Brunson fight was in between, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And that was hilarious. That was Derek Brunson just
podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.
So yeah, how's your take on the fights this weekend? Overall, how'd you like them?
Anders definitely won the Machida fight.
I gave him round 2, round 3, and round 4.
I don't remember the round breakdown. I remember that Anders I gave 5, I think. And you gotta remember, I watched it after the fact, and
I watched it live. I didn't go back and watch that fight. Normally, when there's uproar like that, I rewatch it. I haven't rewatched it yet, but I distinctly remember saying, as soon as the fight was over, I was like, it's that Brazilian home cooking, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all homers. I mean, we all are, but Brazil just loves.
And the fact that, I mean, second round you got to give to Anders because that cut.
That knee busted him open, and then he tagged him on the. I forgot which round. There was a knee. He tagged him with a straight against the cage, but.
I don't. That may have been the third.
It was the middle. It was one of the middle rounds, 3 or 4. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. It wasn't even a barn burner.
It really wasn't.
So like, it was one of those where it's just like, I mean, going in, I barely give a shit who wins.
And that's another thing too. I really didn't care about this main event. So they're trying to bring life to these new guys. They're trying to build a new star.
Or resurrect Machida.
Nah, I think at this point Machida's the sacrificial lamb. Because if you really wanted to resurrect Machida, his first fight in 2 years, you give him Brunson. After Brunson just got burned by a Brazilian in his last fight, you really want to do that? Nah, I knew that they were setting him up to fail.
Yeah, but that's what, like a week's notice?
Yeah.
I mean, even in Brazil, it's a little tough to sanction.
Yeah, you're right. But, yeah, overall, main event, wasn't too pleased. The Valentina beatdown, loved every second of it. I just hated that Yamasaki was a part of it. Because he, like Ariel said on MMA Hour, that's taken away from the headline. The headline should be Valentina Shevchenko, number one contender versus the girl who just won tough. And she's going to be the favorite, obviously.
Yeah.
But instead, the headline is Yamasaki fucks up again. And I'm just like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and if she does get that title shot, that's going to be another fucking Joanna situation where chick wins the belt off of tough and then immediately gets gnarled.
Immediately gets steamrolled and becomes a 7 to 15 ranked mid-carder at best.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, Carla's never getting the belt back.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Shevchenko's going to steamroll this chick.
And plus, like, Carla's got that Ben Askren mentality, too, so that's not doing her any favors.
Yeah,
but she's not good enough to fucking win a belt.
That's another thing, too. Ben Askren is a weird case to me, though, because I've seen some fights in when he was in Bellator where he didn't look like a world beater.
Yeah, there was, I think it was Lima or somebody.
Lima did good against him, and Jay Haran did really good against him. A lot of people say Jay Haran beat him.
Yeah, that was the fight.
That was one of the closest fights.
The Haran one was the one where even he said that it was up in the air a little bit.
And it's funny because I remember when Bjorn got rid of him, Bjorn was like, because Bjorn was the hype train, and he was the knockoff Dana White, and he was like, he can go to UFC and beat anybody. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, he wouldn't even beat John Fitch. But you never know. It sucks because it becomes one of those unknown knowns now.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's the new Fedor.
Yeah, it literally is.
Except it's less exciting because Ben just was on the Rogan podcast and he said that I'm retired unless somebody makes me the right offer. If the UFC gives me a champ or anyone gives me a champ, so I mean maybe like he's leaving the door open for Bellator too, I guess. But
at the same time, A, he's not gonna fight Woodley because they're two friends. B, you hate money if you book that fight.
Yeah.
You don't want any pay-per-view buys.
Yeah, you don't want the serial hugger Ben Askren versus Tyron sets the record for the least amount of strikes in a 5-round fight Woodley.
Do you know how bad that is? And you know what they didn't say too? And listen, I'm a Woodley fan because he knocked out Koscheck. Anyone who knocks out Koscheck's a fan of mine.
Oh yeah, he nearly won me over if he wasn't a Cardinal fan.
But the The thing that nobody else is saying, he set the record for the least amount of strikes by beating his own record. It was his record for the least amount of strikes thrown in a heavyweight fight. I mean, in a title fight.
So what, Wonder Boy?
By himself, yes. The second Wonder Boy fight. Second Wonder Boy fight, and then this one.
And yeah, I know, like, him on Rogan, too, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
How he keeps trying to play either the race car or all these different things, and it's just like, Woodley, man, you have the ability.
And that's the thing, too. Like, go back and watch... after he got knocked down in Strikeforce, when he was hungry, and he came through, and he starched, what's his name? He starched Jay Haran in like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
he starched
Haran, and then he Koss.
Yeah, he starched Koss, then he went to Japan, starched Dong Young Kim, like when he was on the tear. Then he blew out. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a fake win."
See,
when he blew out Condon's knee.
Yeah, Condon's leg. Yeah.
He went on a tear, and then he got the belt, and then he relaxed.
I don't remember though. Like, I feel like those were not sandwiched together. I feel like because in my head, I always remember Woodley as the guy who will go one fucking like stellar knockout, world beater, then 2 fights in a row where he's tentative.
Well, between those fights was the Kelvin fight.
No,
he fought Kelvin Gastelum. That was.
And then he got all tentative.
Yeah, then he got tentative. But then I think after that he knocked out Dong Young Kim, blasted him.
Yeah, that was what he should have been doing the whole time.
Blasted him. Then he was supposed to fight Johnny Hendricks. You know,
missed weight.
And then he said, "Nah, I want a title shot." Weird that I still to this day want to know what leverage he had on Dana, because he sat out for a year. And he's like, I'm not fighting. And then that's when Wonder Boy then beat Rory McDonald. That's when we had a whole bunch of resurgences. And I'm sitting there like, oh, what are they going to do? And then they give Woodley the shot. And I'm like, that's weird. He didn't fight for a year. You know, he beat Dong Young Kim, which was an impressive win, but let's be real.
Yeah.
He's not top 5.
If we're pretending the rankings mean anything.
I mean, Condit was vocal about wanting a rematch. So, I mean... But they gave it to him, and he blasted Robbie Lawler into oblivion.
And the Robbie one, now, I don't know if it was conscious or not, but what was up with the chest punching? Once he dropped him with the fucking right hand, he when he went to swarm him on the ground, he for every 5 punches he punched him in the chest, he hit him once in the jaw.
If you look at him, they were some of the weirdest punches I had, because his elbow was extended. He was just whipping them.
Yeah, but it felt like afterwards I looked it up and I was trying to figure out are they friends? I
think they are friends. They were training partners, which is what he's saying, which is what he was saying leading up to it and stuff. But
because I mean that's just unheard of, especially in a title fight when everything's on the line for you. Yeah. That you got the guy hurt and you start punching him in the chest.
I mean, I know they were friends.
And he's got the power to fucking still knock a guy out from the chest.
He said something to Joe Rogan, which. A lot of people were getting on him. I do kind of believe him. He said, because they asked him about Kobe Covington, and he was like, Joe. He was like, if I do fight Kobe, he said, I promise you. He said, I promise you, Joe, I've never hit somebody in the octagon as hard as I can. And I said, I kind of believe him. I kind of believe if he put like a Dan Henderson style punch on somebody.
But that he fucked himself right there, because now you want to see that fight.
Exactly.
You want to see him hit Kobe into fucking back to Australia.
I like what Kobe's doing. At the same time, it's a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting it on a little too...
He's laying it on too thick.
When you got Kenny Florian trying to fight you, all of a sudden you spoiled the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
The day that came out, how he was like, spoilers, Luke Skywalker dies, go get a girlfriend versions.
But stuff like that I like. I don't like the pressing charges thing, man. I don't like that.
Everyone's got a different opinion. I've not even come to a conclusion on where
I mean, granted, I understand. Listen, and it's like what Saab said. He said, if you're gonna play the heel, play the heel. When Chael got caught and he got fired from UFC tonight, he tweeted out, if you don't hate me now, if you didn't hate me before, you're gonna hate me now. If you're gonna be the heel, play the heel. Don't be like, oh no, you can't attack me.
But for all we know, in Kobe's head, he might be thinking like, oh well, what's gonna piss them off if I press charges?
Yeah, I mean, which I guess, if he didn't say anything, I would have liked that. But then he went on MMA Hour and he was like, it's freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want, which kind of sound, which we all know it's a work. We all know it's but still, you can't let it be known that that's your persona. And he basically said, "This is my persona."
He broke kayfabe.
Yeah, he did. But
he broke kayfabe right.
And now I feel bad for him a little bit because he's like, he had a lot of hype until RDA busted on the scene, and now Dana straight up said RDA is getting the next title shot, and Kobe's like, I deserve to fight more. Look, and he's blatantly saying it. I'm the perfect villain for Tyrone, and I'm just like, come on, bro, you can't say that. He said, you want this fight to sell? I'm the perfect villain, and I'm like,
and you know that he's sweating RDA. Otherwise, he would just immediately say, well, let's have me and RDA figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But RDA would cut through him, man. He would just...
RDA is scary at 170.
Oh, yeah. There's just some guys, they change weight classes.
But I've never seen somebody get that thick.
Other than Rumble Johnson.
Other than Rumble, but that Rumble was jumping 4 weight classes.
That was the most insane thing ever.
I've never heard someone cutting 60 pounds. 60 pounds.
And it was insane.
That's scary.
And he just looked a completely new person.
But imagine even if he came through at middleweight, even if his career was at middleweight and then he moved to light heavyweight.
But just think about, go back to 2011. If you had told either one of us, hey, Rumble Johnson's going to light heavyweight and be a knockout artist, and everyone's going to think what if he fought John Jones?
I would never listen, and I loved Rumble busting on the scene because I remember before I knew the whole schedule of UFC, I would watch, the UFC Unleashed, which was weird because Spike would always air the same 5 episodes. The Brandon Vera episode, the Houston Alexander episode, and the Rumble episode were just like all their best knockouts. So I fell in love with Rumble, and then I see him, I'm like, oh, he doesn't have a ground game. Oh, he's getting choked out by Rich Clemente, a lightweight. Oh, you put the pressure on him. Yeah, you put the pressure on him. He has no ground game. So I'm like, all right. And then he goes over to World Series of Fighting, starts knocking people out left and right. Fights at heavyweight, drops Orlovsky, and then just hugs him for 15 minutes. And I'm sitting there like, all right. I like Rumble. I still like Rumble, but I'm like...
that drop was what started the thought process for everyone, like, oh, there might be something here.
Yeah. Because then... No, it was... I remember it was that fight, and then it was the Mike Kyle fight after that. He fought Mike Kyle.
Yeah, you're right.
And... he caught him with, and it was a short shot. He didn't even sit down on his punch and slept him. And then I said, oh, okay, he might have something.
But then when he came to the UFC,
still wasn't sure.
Cemented it.
When he came to the UFC, and
for his second run, first time at light heavyweight. Let's see, Nogueira was the second one. Who was the first?
First was he came out. It was Phil Davis.
Yeah,
Phil Davis ran the whole fight though. So he didn't knock out Phil Davis, but he pieced him up.
Davis, but he controlled him and he out-wrestled him.
Yeah, which shocked everybody.
Yeah, that was the big stunner there. But there was a fight before the Davis fight, and then Nogueira was the third one.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was. Let's see, light heavyweight. Let's see.
Who was it? He fought...
before he lost it, in reverse.
Oh, Gus.
No, Gus.
Gus was after the Nogueira.
Yeah, Gus was the lead up to DC1.
Yeah.
So, and prior to that was Little Nog.
Yeah.
And then Phil Davis, and there was somebody prior
in between.
To Davis.
There was somebody in between them.
His first fight back at just fucking pull it up.
Yeah, but and you know what? Another funny thing is, I told every single person on earth that Rumble was gonna knock out Gus in the first round. I told everybody that, and everyone was like, no, and I'm like, listen, I'm telling you, this is gonna happen.
What, did everyone forget how hard he fucking hit in the last couple fights? Or
it's not only that. It was the fact that
the hype train of going the distance with John.
It was the hype train of him going the distance with John. It was but I told everybody, I'm like, listen, and I love John Jones. I'm the biggest John Jones fan on earth. John probably hits softer than Chael does. And John rocked him in the 4th and 5th round of their fight. He caught him with an elbow that rocked him. He caught him with head kicks. And I said, I feel like Gus doesn't have a great chin. And he's going to stand in front of Rumble. No threat of the takedown whatsoever. And I'm like, guys, he's going to knock him out.
Oh, well, and it was Davis, Nogueira, then Gus, and then the DC fight.
Oh, okay.
It was the fact that the World Series of Fighting, unbeknownst to the fans, was a feeder org for the UFC at the time.
Yeah, nobody knew that.
Yeah, and they were able to play the Mike Kyle clip.
Yeah.
And so that's why everyone was aware.
And they played the Orlovsky clip too, just the clip of him dropping him, not the rest of the fight.
None of the rest of the fight, just the drop.
Yeah.
Showed.
But.
And now they're the PBL.
They don't even have a TV deal.
Oh yeah.
I think they just signed a deal with Facebook, which is rough.
I mean, it was bad enough when they were on NBC Sports in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it was bad. It's bad when your organization does a promotion with NASCAR to advertise your fight, and there's still nobody there. That's bad. They did it the same weekend in Daytona or wherever they have the races. They're somewhere down in Florida. They had a five fight card, which I personally think it should be 8 minimum, and it was just a shit show.
Yeah. Well, we should get to this. Let's figure this out.
All right. So we got how you feel about breaking down the fights for this weekend? Let's get into that. UFC 221.
You want me to pull up the card?
I wrote down the main card. We got that guy Pedro Tyson fighting another new cat named Sarafa. I'm apologize now, guys. I am gonna butcher every single fighter's name, even a fighter that I like. Some new guy.
Wait, we've been recording this whole time?
Yeah.
you could have said something. How many minutes we in?
16 minutes in. Sorry, we're free flowing.
Okay, then fuck it then.
But
yeah. So this coming week end is Romero Rockhold, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's start with the small fish.
All right. So the main card opener is this Pedro Tyson guy. He just lost to Latifi. He's not bad. Not anything special.
He lost to Latifi.
Lost to Latifi, but he beat everyone else before that.
And now this other guy, Saperbek.
Yeah.
Safar.
Yeah.
Fighting out of Russia, 31 years of age, a light heavyweight, 8-1. His only loss is a KO in his last fight against Gian Vellante.
Oh, he fought. Oh, okay. All right, then that's all I need to know. Then I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go with Pedro on this. Gian Vellante, even though I'm sorry, he's a Long Island guy, he is as up and down as a fighter could possibly be.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, especially since Pedro, he's not new to the UFC. He's got 3 go-arounds.
Plus, he's training at Jackson's now, too. He's got a legit camp around him.
Okay, so he's got that Jackson magic that could work, could not work. But either way, it's not going to be an issue when it comes to the bright lights.
Yeah.
That's right off the bat, big thing. Whereas with Saperbek Savarov, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, his first go-around, he got knocked out in the second round by Gian Vellante.
Who's a lot less polished.
Yeah, so
granted,
I think the bright lights are still an issue for you when you get knocked out in your first one.
Yeah.
Your second go-around's going to be your,
And it's a main fight. And plus, too, you got to remember, I don't want to sound like this because I know it's supposed to be a fair organization. It's a sport. There's rankings and stuff. But the UFC has agendas. They do. And whenever there's a home card, they throw on the hometown guys. And a lot of times, when you sign on that dotted line, you might be getting fed to this guy. They might want to feed you to this guy.
There's always a decent possibility.
So, main card opener, you're coming off of a loss against a guy who's also coming off of a loss, but he's still more polished than you, and he's home. I'm leaning towards Pedro on that one. And then the next fight, we got the Celtic Kid, Matthews versus Jiliang Zhang, the Leech.
Jiliang Li, I believe.
Yeah. I love the Leech. I'm sorry, a lot. He reminds me of the Pride days. Like I love what Ray Longo said about Ngannou, and he's like, the guy throws punches from his ass, no technique, just all strength. He throws punches from his ass.
Well, can Lee wrestle?
I don't know if he can wrestle.
Because that seems to be the question. Because
'Cause
Matthews has trouble with wrestlers.
I distinctly remember, and I've seen a couple of this guy Leach's fights. Distinctly remember he fought another Asian fighter. I forgot his name. Winning the whole fight and gets caught in a standing rear naked in like the last 30 seconds of the last round and gets subbed. And I'm like, come on, bro, you're piecing him up. So I know his ground game, for lack of a better words, is trash. But
So you're talking about Lee?
yeah, I'm talking about Lee.
So is that the Kieta and
Yup.
Nakamura fight?
Yeah. What round was that submission in? It was in the last round, right?
Third round must have been the last round because it could have been a 5-round fight.
Yeah, no, it was the third round.
Technical submission.
Yeah, he went to sleep.
So I mean, if you're looking at his record, I mean, he doesn't have wins or losses against anyone of any notoriety.
Yeah, I mean, he beat a lot of no names, but it's the style.
I mean, he KO'd Bobby Nash. There's a little something there.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Camacho, who just fought this past weekend.
Yeah,
and got
that was a nice sloppy brawl.
Yeah, he took him to a decision just like this past weekend happened.
But this kid,
he's coming off a TKO win too in the first.
Mm-hmm. But this kid Matthews, he doesn't really stand out to me. I know he was on Tough. He's young. He's younger than us. He's like 22, 23. I just keep going back to that fight where Kevin Lee smashed him.
Yeah, that's hard to shake that memory.
Yeah. So I mean,
first round TKO Kevin Lee. I mean, you can make the argument that's the fight that put Kevin Lee on the map.
It's the fight that put Kevin Lee on the map. Also, that fight happened at lightweight. Now you're going going up to welterweight. You know, I mean, if we want to talk about overall skill set, I'd probably say Matthews is the better MMA artist.
Because he probably has more traditional wrestling.
He has more traditional wrestling. Plus, he's really good on his top game is good. I don't know about his bottom game. His top game is very good.
Well, then again, he is the hometown boy too. I mean,
it's another thing.
He's Australian.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that could play a factor, whether it be negative or positive.
Yeah. So I mean,
it feels like a pick'em.
It is a pick'em. I would say if you
towards Jake.
I'd say if you want to put money down on this one, I'd say put your money down on Jake.
Because other than Kevin Lee, if you look at Jake's record here, other than Kevin Lee,
he lost to some Andrew Holcomb guy. Yeah, Andrew Holbrook. He lost to that guy then that guy got knocked out in 15 seconds.
Yeah, he
by
won
Gregor Gillespie.
He won a split over Holbrook. But, like, just overall, his strength seems to be his sub-game, but he's been caught in a couple as well. I mean, he lost a split decision and then won a split decision against some guy I've never heard of, Bojan Villa.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, so
never heard of him.
That's his last fight. He's coming off of a split decision win after losing a split. So, I mean, this one, just by their builds, I mean, you said that Matthews is the one moving up in weight?
Matthews is the one moving up in weight because that Lee fight was at lightweight, and this is a welterweight fight now. So
if he's the one moving up in weight, who knows, maybe he gains some more power.
Hopefully.
And he adds a couple more knockouts. He's only got 4 KOs/TKOs on his record.
Yeah.
So I would go Matthews by stoppage, TKO or KO.
I'd say probably Matthews, ground and pound, late second round.
I'd agree to that.
Another fight on this card. I don't know if you saw this guy's last fight. He's Mark's Hunt friend. This guy tied Tavosa. Ty Tavosa. He had one of the best combos I've ever seen on a big man. He did.
Fuck it, let's call him Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Let's call him Bam Bam.
He hit this guy with an inside leg kick, swept his foot, took the legs from underneath him, and as the guy was getting up, flying knee, KO.
That's a thing of beauty right there.
Beauty. Plus
24 years of age. He's young.
Mm-hmm.
He's a legit heavyweight at 265.
Legit heavyweight. Legit.
6'2" spark plug body all day.
He looks like Mark Hunt's twin. Like they said they're friends, they could be brothers. I wouldn't be surprised if they're related.
All his wins are TKO or KO.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, flying knee is the last one off of Rashad Coulter.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you have a corner stoppage before that. Coulter was his first fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
So the other 5 are outside, and they got to be Australian organizations. Yeah, they are. So yeah, I mean, this guy is fighting Cyril Asker, so I mean, Asker. Let's see, he doesn't ring a bell off the top
I
of my
believe
head.
he's more grappling based. You know.
And you would be slightly correct. Bushido Academy out of France.
Yeah.
I mean, French fighters don't have a good history though in the UFC. I mean, the Czech Congo. I mean, Francis doesn't count obviously because he was not born there.
Yeah. I mean, but he claims France. I mean.
He claims France, but.
Yeah.
I mean, France ain't gonna hesitate to claim him.
Well, now that he lost that belt. A sidebar. I mean, I hate to go off on a tangent. I've never seen people jump off of a bandwagon that fast.
Yeah, everyone jumped ship pretty goddamn quickly after that fight.
Like I heard Shab was digging into him, and I'm like, all right, you were literally on his nuts last week.
Well, but before that, to be fair, Shab at the same time.
Yeah.
He was apprehensive.
He was the last person to get on the hype train. I know.
Rogan was the one who was the first one out the gate saying that, look at this freak, the way only he can.
Yeah, no.
Like,
he's so scary, Jesus.
I mean, Rogan was getting hard on to the look of Francis.
Yeah.
But then the whole story changes. Before the fight, it was all, oh, Francis, I mean, he's a beast. He's training.
Mm-hmm.
He's
training with the Olympic wrestling team in France.
Yeah, and he's, no, it was the Russian. The
Russian wrestling team.
Because they got nothing better to do because they're banned. So that was the whole word, is that like, oh, well, don't worry about his wrestling. He's got great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out right after the fight when he doesn't have a great wrestling game. Oh, wait, he didn't train any wrestling?
Oh.
His plan was to knock him out in the first fucking round. That was it? He put everything on black? That was it?
I don't know. It's one of the worst game plans you could have going into a heavyweight champ who's been the underdog in all of his fights, who's hungry, who is pissed off because he knows that the company wants him to lose. And you're going to say, granted, and I will say this because I juggled back and forth because, yes, Stipe was a D1 wrestler, but who have we seen him double leg in the UFC? Who have we seen him take down?
We have now.
so I was leaning towards that. I'm like, all right, he can't wrestle like that. But then, as soon as that he stuffed one, and he muscled through it. I was like, ooh, I don't like that.
For me, the second I saw Stipe shooting for the double and switch to a single, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That was when it was clear he's gonna get that takedown.
Yeah, especially and then he got one at the buzzer at the end of the last round, at the first round.
He got a double leg at the buzzer.
And I was like, oh, I don't like that.
See, but prior to that, he had scored that first takedown with a single.
Yeah.
And that was like the whole idea: don't carry all that weight and whatnot. Yeah. And just to prove that point and to just firmly take that round because he got pieced up.
Yeah.
The most he did in that fight was that fucking power double up against the cage, just drop him on his ass. But I mean, Francis still though, man, that's the type of guy where in the fifth round, gassed and hopping in there, you felt like he still could. Because
he hurt him. I want to say in like the late third round too, he just woofed an air ball shot and tagged Stipe. It didn't have the same power on it, but it hit Stipe. So he was like, all right, let me stop being lazy, and then he went right back down to the takedowns again.
Yeah, it was like 30% energy on his power bar at that point.
Listen, I'm pretty sure. I mean, granted, like Saab said, when he hit that machine, I had skeptical eyes because A, it's a stationary machine. You're gonna cock back. You're gonna sit down and throw your hardest shot. B, who else hit that machine?
Yeah, I mean, the previous record was Tyrone Spong. Nothing against him, great kickboxer, but if he had done it any time recently, that means he's done it after they artificially fixed his leg.
That's another thing too. Plus, I want to see. Let Crow Cop kick that. That's what I want to see. Let's see how much his punching power matches up to that.
Why don't they get the stats from the sports science shows they all did a couple years back?
Yeah, they had Houston Alexander on there talking about how much PSI he hit with, and Lord knows what his career turned into. But anyway, back to these fights.
Houston, I'm afraid of Kimbo Slice Alexander.
That's another fight that was a stain on MMA.
It was an instant classic though. A stain on MMA is Dada 5000 versus Kimbo.
My goodness.
That was some fucking.
The people forget that was the co-main event, and then the main event was Shamrock
Hoist
2,
3.
And it ended with a low blow TKO.
I waited my entire MMA fan career to see that goddamn fight. And of course it had to end in some Gracie way.
Oh my God.
Gracie's fucking goddamn Gracie's. The fucking, oh man. People listening, all you have to do to learn about the Gracies is Google Gracie Hunter. Kazuki Sakuraba.
Did you hear
the message?
Did you hear he's fighting a Henzo?
They did a grappling match.
No,
Like, you think, is there word that they're going to do a Ryzen fight?
I think it's a Ryzen fight.
A rematch, Henzo
I think
versus
so.
Sacco too?
I think so.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. Because Sacco's legs are nearly gone.
Let me tell you something. Sacco looks 3,000 years old.
Well, yeah, I mean, and shit, did you see what fight was it? Did you see the Mayhem fight?
I was done after Mayhem TKO'd him.
Was it the Mayhem one, or was it after that where he got his ear ripped off?
It was after that. That
was like one of the Gracies getting their revenge against the 50-year-old Sakuraba.
Doesn't matter. He beat your whole family.
Yeah,
he beat your entire family.
He beat all the top dogs but Hickson.
Yeah.
And that was just because Hickson wasn't game. Hickson was there when Hoist fought him.
Yeah.
And fucking Hoist had all those special rules where his corner got to follow him around the whole goddamn ring. And Sakuraba still almost got the Kimura on him. And what happened? All of the Gracies who never quit, who were all willpower and everything, threw in the goddamn towel at the hour mark. And they're the ones who wanted the no time limit. Sakuraba still looked fucking fresh. He smokes as much as I do. I've had fucking 10 cigarettes since I sat down for this podcast.
You'd be surprised, though, how many people... Like, I remember, early disclaimer, I'm not one of those people who loves MMA and hates boxing. Love all combat sports. But I remember there was a boxer named Ricardo Mayorga. I want to say... he's from Chile or somewhere. This dude used to walk to the ring with a cigarette in his mouth. Lit. Smoke. Take the last puff. He gets it. He's there while they're announcing. He's still smoking a cigarette. His corner pulls the cigarette out of his mouth every fight before the first bell rings. Ding. He pulls a cigarette out of his mouth and he goes out there.
You sure he's from Chile?
I want to...
Yeah, that sounds like a Cuban motherfucker.
I don't know. Ricardo Mayorga. I know. I only know because... I mean, granted, he wasn't amazing, but he fought De La Hoya. He fought some of the big guys. He fought Mosley. He fought some of the big names in their time. He lost those fights, but in boxing, if you get to that dance, especially when you got certain wins around you.
See, with me, boxing, other than the heavyweight division and watching Floyd whenever he fought, I was never...
Hate Floyd.
And
people
speaking
assume...
of Floyd...
Oh.
Transition time.
So, here's the thing. People assume every black guy that likes fighting loves Floyd. Wrong. Every black guy that doesn't know fighting loves Floyd.
You heard it from the horse's mouth, people. If you didn't know, Roger is a black man in America.
That is a fact.
Yes. I also suspect that he's a reverse racist, but nevertheless... Back in the day, Roger used to always blindly take the black guy.
Oh, he always. Which is funny because that's what my wife does. I hate to put her on blast. She knows more about MMA than the casual does, but still, she walks past the TV. Babe, who's going to win this fight? Who's fighting? Woodley Wonderboy. Willie's going to win. Do you know why? No. Have you seen Wonderboy fight? No. All right, that's all I need to know. But it's so funny how that's such a thing still today. Like I say it all the time. Like, yes, Francis is absolutely devastating, but change his name to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Same guy. Is he as scary? Is he as scary? If he's a Russian guy, the same build, the same fighting style, if he's a Russian guy, is he as scary as a black guy from Africa who's knocking everyone's head off?
No.
Yeah. So it's still there. That stigma's always going to be there.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I mean, that's a positive stereotype.
Hey, listen, we'll take it. But when it comes down to, hey, man, who you think's going to win? Mayweather or McGregor? Mayweather's going to win, but I want McGregor to win. Why do you say that? I thought that you would, you thought that I'd what?
Yeah, what'd you think, motherfucker?
What'd you think? Oh, okay, well, yeah, okay. But no, I am absolutely sure that all of his social media posts, is all this and that, number one, Dana's not going to pay him the money he wants.
Well, first and foremost, what we're talking about is Floyd walking into a cage recently as a publicity stunt. What we assume is a publicity stunt, because there's 0.00001% chance he ever fights in an MMA match.
I promise you, everyone listening, there's a better chance that CM Punk wins his next fight via Gogo Plata than there is a Floyd getting in the UFC.
I'll do one better than that. I'll say that there's a better chance that Tyron Woodley puts on 2 exciting fights in a row. I'll say that there's a better chance that I can go all day with this.
Listen, there's a better chance Johnny Hendricks makes weight in his next 3 fights.
Where's Johnny Hendricks fighting?
Ooh.
His steakhouse?
Ooh. I don't know.
Bad investment, Johnny.
I don't know.
Jake LaMotta?
He really had a... What was it? It was called Big Rig's...
Big Rig Steakhouse.
Oh, my goodness. We get it. You're from Texas. You want to build it up. I understand
he must have put diesel gas on the food because this shit did not work.
Oh, my goodness. Brendan Schaub had the funniest quote of all time. They were talking about it. It was right before it was right when he was moving up, and he went out to Greg Jackson's. He posted all these videos of Greg Jackson's. Granted, I love Greg Jackson. If you're not a main staple there, don't transition and try to switch to go there. It doesn't work. You have to be there from day one. We saw that with BJ Penn. BJ Penn went there, and it's not the same. He's done.
Well, then there are outliers in the sense, like, if you have the lack of dignity to turn your back and run away from an opponent, you can middle it if you go to Jackson's like Alistair Overeem.
See, but Alistair, the thing with Alistair, the thing that makes Alistair different is he's in probably the easiest division, and I hate to say that. Talent-wise, yes, because in any other division, you turn and run your back and you're getting caught. There's no other division where you can turn and run your back and no one's gonna catch you.
Well, I mean, there's definitely exceptions to the rule. I mean, like there's those oddball motherfuckers like who was the white kid who beat Rashad recently? Rashad Evans and his
Alvey?
Daniel something.
Oh no, Dan Kelly.
Dan Kelly,
who has no kneecap.
Yeah,
I want everyone to know that he has no
kneecap, and he stands like a guy who doesn't have a kneecap, and
he stands like a guy that just learned what MMA is.
He looks like he's on a slope. He looks like he's fighting point karate without the flexibility. And I mean, just that's your prime example right there of a guy who could get away with you running away on. I mean, if you fought Dan Kelly, you could turn your back and run away.
Yeah, you got that right.
And not really be in too much trouble.
Yeah. There's some exceptions, but to do it in the top 5, to do it in a title fight and still be effective, it's pretty weird. But...
Well, let's see, did he turn and run in the Stipe fight?
He did. But then Stipe got a hold of him.
Well, but first, Alistair got a hold of the neck.
Yeah. And then we had the amazing ghost tap.
Yeah, the ghost tap, which I thought I saw. I don't know if that means I believe in ghosts or if I believe in Dutchmen.
Well, when you look at it, I can understand why he thought it was a tap, because it was I don't know if I remember the fight correctly. Was it a standing guillotine and then he rolled to the back, or I remember Stipe on a knee while in the guillotine for some weird reason. I don't remember. There was like a weird transition. There was
definitely a roll because there was a transition.
And when you look at it in slow motion, Stipe puts his hand on his back to like...
Yeah, that might have been...
And I think he thought it was a tap, but also he still didn't let go though. He said he loosened the tap when he... I don't think he... I don't know. It was weird. It's a weird one. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Does that go a different way though? I mean, like, does that change how the fight goes if he just clean lets go and thinks he won?
Absolutely.
Well,
How many fights have we seen? Like, I know you hate him.
But let's say, like, he's got the guillotine, he thinks he taps, he lets go of him, and as he's going to raise his hands in the air, he gets that one-shot killer that Overeem's so good at taking, fight's over. That doesn't change much then.
It really doesn't. No, you got that right. I mean, we've seen weird stuff like that happen before.
The ref would have to have jumped in to have, like, made any difference there.
There was a Marquardt fight just like that.
Oh, versus Taquinho?
When he fought Paul Harris. Caught him in a knee bar, and he just slid right out. And then he pointed, he's like, ref, boom, got hammered. Just got clipped right on the ground while he's pointing to the ref like, hey, I think there's oil on his legs, and got clipped. Yeah,
he was trying to claim it was Vaseline.
Yeah.
And then Nate had no problem after the fight coming out.
He let the commission come in and check his leg.
Well, he came out and told everyone, like, hey, look, there's no rule against putting on a sweatsuit before the fight and working up a sweat.
Hey,
that's
more
what
power
he did,
to you.
Clear cut. And I mean, he may have done the other trick, which is like those certain lotions you can put on your skin.
That'll make you.
Once you sweat, they come out and make you all greasy and shit.
Hey, listen. In the illustrious words of John Dotson, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I'm down with somebody cheating within the rules. I'm okay with that.
That's just being creative.
You're being creative. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% what it is.
But yeah, so back to this weekend's fights. We got Mark Hunt and this new kid, Curtis Blades.
Well, new kid. I wouldn't call him a new kid. I mean, he fought Ngannou.
But I want to say his last fight was his real coming out party when he beat Olenek.
Yeah, but wasn't that under some odd circumstances as well?
Yeah, he mauled him, and then he caught him with a head kick on the ground, but the fight was over before that.
Oh yeah, he kicked his ear.
Yeah, his big toe literally flicked his earlobe.
The first ever, like, what was it? It was ruled a TKO.
It was ruled a TKO, but it was like
so it's the only time we'll ever really see a TKO that technically was an illegal strike.
Yes, that did no damage.
The ear.
Yeah.
Just the ear.
Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, he gave him a flicker to the ear with his big toe. I mean,
I didn't know this though. You know, I was watching the Countdown show last night. You know, they aired the Countdown show for this weekend. This is how young this kid is. Stipe brought him in to help him prepare for the Gonzaga fight. Stipe brought him in because he's a good wrestler, and he didn't start fighting until after that. He started. Yeah, Blades. Stipe brought Blades in.
I was stunned to just see he's 26.
Yeah, he's young. He's a young kid. Stipe brought him in to help him prepare for Gonzaga. Stipe wanted a good wrestler, and that was his opening the door to him getting into the MMA world.
Well, we know that he's 8-1 with that one loss being to Francis,
which he was winning.
Yeah, it was a doctor stoppage after the second round.
Yeah, he caught a nice punch to the eye.
But my question is, because I have no recollection of it, is the Adam Milstead fight, which it's overturned to a no contest.
He tested positive for marijuana after it.
Blades.
Yeah, Blades.
Okay, so Blades was at fault.
Blades beat the dog shit out of him.
Okay, so then
that guy Adam Milstead, he beat this guy so bad that guy still hasn't fought since then. And I want to say that's about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, you're right. He hasn't fought since then.
He beat that guy so bad that guy hasn't fought since.
But he's scheduled. He is fighting,
okay, so he's coming back soon.
He's fighting the undefeated Jordan Johnson on the UFC 222 card.
Don't know who it is.
Yeah, me neither, but he's 8-0, so it may not work out well for him.
Yeah, I mean, but as far as this fight, this is a really weird fight for me. Because Mark Hunt blatantly coming out and saying how punch drunk he is.
And then redacting all that.
But he did get medical tests done to prove that he is cleared to fight.
But still, medical tests are going to tell you one thing, and then the truth is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
He probably is undergoing some form of it, but dude's not going to fucking cut his nose to spite his face. Yeah. I mean, he was so pissed at Dana, that's exactly what he did. He cut his nose to spite his face. Yeah. And then instantly realized, oh, fuck. What do I do now?
But I don't know. It's weird when you have somebody who's so blatantly against this company. How serious is he taking this? There's two ways it can go. He's going to go out there and he's going to win all of his fights to say F you to Dana. Or B, he's going to say, screw it. You guys owe me money. You guys screwed me with the whole Brock thing. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do whatever I want. You know, if I feel like going all out, I'll go all out. I don't know. It's weird.
See, if Mark is so discontent, I think he should say fuck it. And if there's ever a point where Blades is on all fours, soccer kick him in the fucking head. Go old school Pride, man.
You hear the pride coming out of him. This is Pride era Mike talking.
I mean, that's what people want to see, man. No matter what you say, you want to see soccer kicks.
Listen, I love what Joe Rogan said. How is a soccer kick more dangerous than a head kick, a regular head kick?
Yeah, a regular head kick, a wheel kick, any of that shit.
We let people torque their bodies and hit you with your heel on their temple.
Not even the temple, wrapped around the back of the head.
Wrapped around the back of the head.
So we're talking basically a rabbit punch kick.
It absolutely is a rabbit punch. How many times have you seen that? There was
Tim Sylvia versus
Matt Brown's last fight when he absolutely destroyed Diego Sanchez. He hit him with he ranged him and hit him with an elbow that when you see the slow motion, the point of his elbow hits him square on the back of the head. 100% legal. 100% legal.
That was one of the most brutal fucking knockouts of the year.
The way he crumbled. Oh my goodness.
Who knows how much that has to do with where it landed? Probably a lot.
Yeah.
But,
shame on Greg Jackson for letting Diego take that fight, because we all knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, Diego, I mean, I feel it's going to be a hard time to talk him out of it. The guy's been so desperate to win. In the past 2 years, he's jumped how many weight classes?
All of them.
At UFC 200, he fought at featherweight.
He went for in one calendar year, he fought featherweight, featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight.
Yeah,
and lost all three.
Yeah,
decisively. I mean, listen, I don't want to bag on Joe Lozon, but when you get knocked out by Joe Lozon in a minute, and then your next fight is against Matt Brown, come on.
Unless. If Lozon in a minute, unless it's a fluke head kick, that's a different story.
No, it was straight punches.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it was a fluke head kick, that's different, because Lozon's got a legit fucking head kick right there.
I mean, and I don't want to bag on Lozon because he does have power. He knocked out Jens Pulver. He dropped Melvin Gillard with the softest jab in the world and took his back. So
he had a run there.
He's got some power, but not enough to stop Diego. I mean, I remember Diego used to have an iron chin, bite down on his mouthpiece, bloody, straight Mexican style. So come on, and no technique out the window.
Oh yeah, I mean, nothing beats fucking round 3 of Melendez versus Sanchez.
What's his name? Black Beast. Derek Lewis said on the MMA Hour that is his favorite moment ever in MMA.
Did Diego come back?
The Diego uppercut in that third round that dropped him, and
Diego come back.
He said, and they just started throwing bows. He said that is his favorite round, his favorite moment in an MMA fight. He said he could watch that 10 times out of 10.
I mean, dude, Cain Velasquez may have Brown Pride tattooed on his chest, but he's got to break up that tattoo, give Brown to one of those kids, Pride to the other, and because that's Mexicans at their best right there. I want to show that clip to a lot of these boxing fans who hate MMA, or a lot of these guys that say, they're humping and this and that. I'll show them that clip. All you got to do is send that out there to any of Triple G's fans who hate MMA, because they love him because he fights like a Mexican.
Yeah.
So just throw that out there.
Big drama show.
Yeah, big drama show. Big drama show.
But if I'm gonna pick someone in this Hunt Blades fight,
I feel like it's blasphemy to say it, but I'm leaning heavy towards the Blades.
I'm leaning a little bit towards Blades. I still don't feel comfortable enough to say why. Because I haven't seen Mark Hunt's wrestling has gotten better. But I just feel like young, hungry kid.
Well, I mean, if we just look at Hunt's last 3. You have the 3-round hump fest versus Lesnar that was overturned to a no contest.
You're right.
Then you have Overeem, where
took his head off.
Saw the chin finally get tapped again for the first time
his head
since
off.
Roy Nelson. 3 people have cracked that chin. Roy Nelson, no, I got it in reverse.
Yeah, no, he knocked Roy Nelson out.
Yeah, he knocked Roy Nelson the fuck out.
No, somebody else did knock him out.
2 people have tapped Hunt. Alistair Overeem in that fight, and Melvin Manhoef.
Back in the day.
In Dream.
Let me tell you how hard Melvin Manhoef has to hit. This dude took a pride head kick from Crow Cop with shoes on, and kept coming forward. Scariest thing I've ever seen.
Well, you know who else did that?
Who else?
Mark Hunt. So right there.
So that's it. But like everyone, the chin goes.
Yeah, the chin definitely does.
The chin goes. No one's chin is impervious.
And Overeem has underrated knees. I mean, K1 World Grand Prix. I mean,
they changed the rules because of his knees.
Yeah, I mean he's just monstrous.
So I don't blame him for that loss. He won against Derek Lewis. Granted, Derek Lewis had a back problem.
Yeah.
You know, so
he could barely fucking move the morning of.
Yeah. So I mean, but for the most part, I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna lead toward Blades a little bit, but don't be surprised, because Mark Hunt does still pack that punch.
Let's see. I want to have a definitive answer here. And let's see. Like I said, the Olenek, he put a beating on Olenek.
Yeah.
It ended the way it ended. It was going to end either way soon enough. Before that, Daniel Oma, I'm not even going to try to pronounce
You know what?
shit.
I remember that fight, and that fight is scary because he didn't let any takedowns in that fight. And you saw that he...
Blades.
Yeah, Blades. Blades didn't land any takedowns in that fight, and you saw that he's a little Marcus Jones on the feet. Remember Marcus Jones from Tough?
Yeah.
Where he was a wizard on the ground,
yeah,
and he was Frankenstein in the stand-up
game.
Yeah.
And just no chin.
He's not. I mean, he's not Marcus Jones chin-wise, but stand-up wise, he'll throw a punch and you go, ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah, it's just. No technique whatsoever.
Yeah, no technique whatsoever. But his whole plan is, I'm going to throw the ugliest punch in the world and then take down.
See, but the thing with Marcus Jones, you got to remember, too, just for the joy of remembering it, is every single time he threw a strike, you could almost hear what was going on inside his mind. And that sound was,
Now, it was even funnier because the episode. I remember there was an episode where he was sitting down. And he's like, I want to write a book, man, called The F's of Life: Family, Football, Flowers, and Fighting. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you know, I like to plant flowers. You know, I was in the NFL. You know, I love my family, but also I like to fight. And I'm sitting there like, oh, so you're a country bumpkin on top of having no stand-up. This isn't good. Those two don't mix.
See, I think it's okay to say, because it was 2010, it was a different time.
It really was.
It was a different time. So I can get away with saying that I thought the last F was going to be faggot. I mean...
Listen, I wouldn't have been surprised because, you know, you see him, 6'6", brolic, former NFL linebacker, you know...
but now we're in the conundrum, though, of I didn't mean because he sucks a dick. Who gives a shit if he sucks a dick? I'm talking about the fact that he likes to plant flowers. That's some faggoty-ass behavior right there.
Well, that's another thing, too, you know. I hate to get off on a riff, but my mother plants flowers. And she says it's so stress relieving. And I sit out the window and watch her plant flowers. And I sit there and I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so tedious for no reason. You do it, you work up a sweat, you do it in the summer or in the spring, so you're already hot, dirt stinks, you have to get... Yeah, I got you. Wait a second, let me pull. So, Blades probably is going to take it, and then we get to the main event.
Well, I would just say, let's go official on it. So, for me, I'd say Curtis Blades by decision.
I say Curtis Blades... decision, closer than people think. I'd say he probably loses the first round, gets Hunt down towards the late in the second round, and then the third round, Hunt's gassed and he's just...
See, I'm saying the same thing, but it's one or two. It's either that or Hunt's gonna knock him the fuck out in the first.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
One of those two.
That's the only way. I want everyone to be clear. There's no way Hunt wins decision or submission.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not submission.
Yeah.
Unless it's by, like, verbal tap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Blades is mentally, so.
And then we get to the main event. Let me just say, I am the biggest Yoel Romero fan. He was I loved him since the first fight I saw him in the UFC when he caught Clifford Sparks with a flying knee in like 30 seconds. And then I heard him talk, and I was like, oh, I love this guy even more. Michael Bisping!
I love you!
My favorite of all time, though, was when he knocked out Lyoto. It was the day gay marriage was just legalized. And he says, no for gay Jesus, people, please.
No for gay Jesus.
No for gay Jesus.
No for gay Jesus.
And I'm just sitting there like, wait, what did he? And Brian Stan, kudos to Brian Stan for being seasoned and just glossed right over it. And he's like, so show me those elbows in the second.
He didn't try to fucking figure it out.
Nope.
Like, if Joe Rogan was the guy,
Joe Rogan would have been
like, you want to come again?
They've been like, oh.
Just to be clear, folks, he's saying no forget Jesus.
No forget Jesus.
No forget Jesus. It sounds like no forget Jesus, but it's
just,
no forget Jesus.
Just bad timing, but at the same time, absolutely loved every second of it.
Yoel is just fun in so many aspects, man.
He's awesome.
The fact that I know it's got to be him running his own Twitter. The things he responds to.
Yes, it's awesome.
And what's the other thing? Who was it that beat him? That let's see.
Well, he only has 2 losses. He lost to that Brazilian dude in Strikeforce back in the day.
Yeah, Rafael
Cavallo.
Feijão.
Yeah, Feijão. Yes.
Feijão.
Yes, Feijão KO'd him.
There was somebody though I could have sworn it must have been somebody he beat that had a flag. It might have been Brad Tavares, where he had a flag of Brazil and it said Jesus on it, and Yoel was like, "Oh, you like Jesus too, huh? You like Jesus?" And they got on their knees in front of it, and it got really weird.
I love it though because like every single thing he says, Jesus. Why do you think you're gonna win this fight? Jesus. Everything. And then as soon as Bisping ripped up his flag in that last fight, he threw all of it out the window.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that video he cut of him in Brazil?
Yeah.
It looked like a classic WWE like promo.
It was
the way he cut it great. It was awesome. But his stepping on the flag, this is my country, this and that. I loved it. But
man, you don't want to fuck with a Cuban like that. That's Joey Diaz.
Yeah. And you know Joey Diaz is actually friends with him. Oddly enough. Oh, it's not oddly enough.
I mean, we both heard the news.
Yeah.
That he's gonna do a podcast with subtitles.
Amazing.
With subtitles. It's gonna be incredible.
I want to be a fly on the wall.
Oh man.
I'd love to just. If Joe was like, "Hey, come sit down. Don't say a single word. Don't even breathe." I'll be in there with an oxygen mask on, just listening to everything.
Yeah, but I'd still probably feel like I gotta touch him. I gotta see if this guy's real.
Who looks like that at 40? And I know everyone's sitting there. I mean, granted, he did fail. He did fail the USADA test. They proved it was tainted supplements. But I've also seen pictures of him when he's 16. I've seen pictures of him at 16 years old looking like that. So I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. We both know, as Joey Diaz said, that in Cuba they pluck him up young. So he might have been a big dude when he was young. That doesn't stop the fact that Cuba's essentially Russia 2 electric boogaloo. So we know damn well Yoel has had some Mexican supplements at some point.
Hey, listen, I'm pretty sure, his
silver medal is from 2000.
I know that DC likes to ride his high horse. I'm pretty sure, and I'm gonna get heat for this, 90% of Olympic wrestlers have had a little bit of sugar in their tank, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
I mean, how strict ever was their testing if Russia only in 2018 got banned? I mean, you got the exceptions. Like, I don't want to think that the Schultz brothers were
nah. Well,
they may have been.
All right. So, as much as I love Yoel, I'm a little scared in this fight. We know his gas tank. We know that Rockhold's a crafty son of a gun.
And that a good striker can outstrike him.
Good striking can outstrike him.
Robert Whitaker.
But there's also the factor. Rockhold's got the pillow chin, man. When Bisping KOs you and you're out for a year, that says something.
Well, I'd be more concerned if David Branch had hurt him more.
David Branch did tag him, but David Branch didn't sit down on his punches. It's like his punch hurt him, but it also woke him up because then he turned it on past that point.
Yeah, because Branch was winning the fight up until that point.
Yeah.
And then he woke to sleeping beast almost.
Yeah.
And it went from Rockhold the Surfer Dude to Rockhold, hey, wait a second, I was champ.
Plus, we have to remember, which is so underrated, Rockhold's ground game is frightening.
Phenomenal.
Frightening. This dude, look at what he did to Lyoto.
First guy to beat Jacare in a decision through grappling.
Yes.
That says it all right
and
there.
even David Branch, I know you have your beef with the Gracies. He's a Gracie black belt. Made him look like my son on the ground. My son is 8 months for all those listening.
Yeah, and there's some guys who are just natural when it comes to the ability to grapple and whatnot. That's all you got to do is teach them, and they'll sponge.
Plus, also
up.
he's in the room with Kane, DC.
The trio.
Yeah.
And Khabib.
Khabib. So he's been put through the meat grinder.
And the fact that we know that he's trained with Khabib, since he's one of the guys who come out and said that none of us have taken a round from Khabib.
Yeah. So I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm trying to pick smart and not with my heart. My heart says Yoel via flying something, spinning back flying knee. But if I'm gonna put money down, my money is probably gonna be on Rockhold. He'd either tire him out. He just has more ways to win.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He has more ways to win. Yoel's going to have to catch him with something coming in or going out to win this fight. If he takes him down, Rockhold is no slouch off his back. And we're not even off his back. I think Rockhold can sweep Yoel at will.
And that's another thing with Yoel. His wrestling's great, but he's been taken down before by lesser wrestlers.
Yes. I mean,
Brunson was tuning him up for 2.5 rounds.
Everyone likes to point out the fact that big Cael Sanderson he beat twice.
Yeah.
That was wrestling, folks.
And Cael Sanderson's never stepped foot in an MMA cage.
Yeah. That's a different
sorry.
Story. So I'm going to say Rockhold. Yoel's such a gamer that I'm going to say Rockhold by strikes, probably leading to a rear naked choke in maybe the third round or later.
I'd say late 4th round, flattening him out, either RNC or some same ground and pound. Just that high body triangle, pounding him into the ground.
See, that's the thing. We haven't seen Yoel get ground and pound out. I mean, the Fejao fight was a straight KO.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like pounding him out may not be the trick. You may just opt to go for the sub there.
Yeah, that too.
And before we sign off, just one real thing to cover real quick is, we know that UFC 222 lost Edgar versus Holloway for the featherweight belt.
Yes.
So, I mean, a little birdie told me, and it turns out that little birdie, my partner in crime right here, Roger was right, that the rumor right now is that it's going to be T-City, the undefeated Brian Ortega, Triangle Town, baby, versus Frankie Edgar in a 3-rounder. And on top of that, they're going to add a title fight as well. They tried to make TJ versus Cody 2 happen.
TJ wants that money. And then, you know what? I don't like TJ at all. I agree with this move. Wait for International Fight Week. It's good for everybody involved. 3 champion versus champions on International Fight Week. You're going to have Stipe DC. You're going to have Nunes, Cyborg, and then TJ versus DJ. TJ, get your money. Hold out. I know Cody's going to talk a lot of shit, but he's been doing that for the past 2 years anyway.
And TJ's been coming right back at him with, hey, I got a kid now, man. That's my main concern. So Cody's not going to bait him into this. It's not going to happen. TJ's going to hold out, like you said. They're going to get the fight. He's going to fight the Mouse. And I know it's not likely, but I think the Mouse pulls it out.
I absolutely think the Mouse pulls it out.
I mean, was it just me? It feels like that everyone, including Cody Garbrandt, forgot that, yeah, TJ is like Dominic Cruz, but with a head kick.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened.
Well, he traded a little bit of the finesse.
Move.
Hey, yep.
Hi, Move. Help me carry the stuff in the car.
All right, no problem. This is my friend Mike.
Hi,
Nice to
Mike.
meet you.
Hi. All right.
So the last thing to say about 222 is you got Kat Zingano coming back, vying for that shot at Amanda Nunes, the last woman she beat. She's lost to Rousey and to Juliana Pena since. She's fighting that 222 card. Hopefully she can pull it out, get her way to Nunes, get that belt. Alpha Cat, man, fan for life here.
Love Kat. I want to see her more active. I don't want to see her on the shelf for this long. But as far as this card goes, 222, we'll keep you posted. 221 is a wrap. We'll catch you guys later.
And 222, next week we will have all the inside info you need to know about DC versus Stipe, DJ versus Mighty Mouse, and of course,
we got to do it.
Cyborg versus Nunes.
Let me tell you, Brazil versus Brazil, that's going to be a big one. Listen.
This is Mike.
I'm Roger.
Signing off for the first time of many.
We'll catch you guys later. All right.